Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of A Magelord Tale. We're in my test world and it seems to be a little bit dark around here. Let me fix that. There we go, nice and lit up. Yes, I made a spell just so I could do that. Complete waste of time, but it was fun. So, and then Dawn starts to come around. Thanks a lot, Dawn. Making my spell completely pointless. And everything was pointless. So, these are Reactant Dynamos, and we are going to be testing today to see what mixture produces the best results for energy. And based on that, we can get an estimate of which kind of setup we want to do for reactant dynamos. So reactant dynamos only use 4 different things for fuel types. For the solid part, they use sugar, gunpowder, blaze powder, and nether cubes. Now for the different types of liquid that they use to react with, there is creosote oil, sewage, sludge, mob essence, destabilized redstone, energized glowstone, and biomass. So we're going to be setting them all up to run individually, do one set for each one. And we will be able to take a look at the result afterwards. Ooh, that's kind of cool. It actually shows you what liquid is in there when it's turned on. Sugar, that doesn't last a very long time, it seems. Of course, I didn't expect that it would. So let's see how gunpowder does in comparison. We'll take a look at the energy results afterwards. I'm guessing, though, that I might end up with a setup that uses blaze powder. Because blaze powder is not too difficult to actually create. And it sure is a heck of a lot easier to get than a whole bunch of nether stars. See, gunpowder seems to still be going, so that's good. I would surmise that it is entirely possible to set it up so that you can create a bunch of... Ooh, lag. Yes, so you can create a bunch of lag. 1 second. Let's see, did that help? Yeah, it looks like it helped a little bit. All I did was stop and start recording again. Let's see, let's make sure that we are actually getting the energy completely used, especially with these nether star ones. I don't know how much energy they all will produce. So we're going to use these resonant energy cells, which have the highest amount of energy capacity, that is. Let's see. We want them all set to input. So I want to make sure that we're not like producing energy that's not being, wasted. Oop. Or that we're not wasting energy. That's what I was trying to say. I had to think about that for way too long. Ah, there's that leg again. I'm going to guess that the lag is being caused by Fraps acting up. I don't know why it does that so much. Ah, come on. I can barely record 5 seconds without the lag just suddenly... Grr! One second. Okay, everything seems to be going fine again. Looks like the gunpowder ones have run their course. Still going with blaze powder ones, though the sludge and the sewage don't seem to be doing any more. So I'm guessing sludge and sewage are the worst. High disk usage by host process for Windows services. What does that mean? Well, either way, my computer seems to have calmed down now, so yeah, everything's going good again. Now, don't you go back on that. So let's see. How much did the sugar generate? This apparently generated nothing. Let's try that one again. Because apparently it used 80 creosote oil, but... There, this will give us an actual readout. That's very weird. I don't know why it didn't have any energy show up. Wait, none of these have energy. Really? You know what? I'm gonna break all this down and start it all over again. Okay, so I believe I got the setup smarter this time around. Hooray! Now, let's go through and take a look at which ones have produced the most. I'm guessing most of the sugar ones are going to have produced the least, but sugar is probably the easiest material to get. So keep that in mind. Let's see. We'll even use a book and quill to keep track. Let's see, what was the first one again? It was creosote creosol. And it produced a total of 16,000. Okay, and I'm going to be doing this for each one. Looks like the gunpowder ones are all done now as well, so that's good. The next one was sewage. Oh, that's actually a good thing I have to keep in mind. How much... Ow! Leg. How much liquid did it use compared to how much energy it produced? Where'd my figure go? Well, I need to redo that anyway. 80 to 16K. Okay, so that's how we're going to do it. And I'm going to... Some of these are going to take a while, so I'm going to have to cut away to make sure that they are all done. I know that the video is kind of choppy because of lag and cutting away, but we will get back to this ASAP. Alrighty then. So, I have determined, after many minutes of waiting, that Yes, indeed, blaze powder is definitely the best option. Now, one thing I learned is that it doesn't matter what kind of fuel you mix things with, the reactant items will always produce the same amount of energy no matter what. All that the fuel does is change how much fuel is actually used. For instance, sugar, no matter what you're mixing it with, is always going to produce 16,000 energy. However, in the cases of sewage and sludge, it will use a full bucket's worth of sewage and sludge to produce the same amount of energy that only 30 millibuckets worth of redstone or glowstone produce 16,000 energy with. Now, sugar is the most consistent. Things tend to stay about the same. When you get to gunpowder, you get more variety in your options. And it starts to break down that the glowstone is probably the best fuel liquid reactant you can use in your system. And when you get to the blaze powder, that is made pretty much a guarantee. Glowstone dust turned into energized glowstone gives you the best results. However, I don't know if there's any way of me getting a witch spawner at all. And what I mean is that, well, in order to get glowstone easily and without having me mining it constantly, one of the best options would be to get a witch spawner. Because with that I can produce a whole bunch of mob essence as well, and even redstone. So I could have multiple setups using witches for creating the liquid power. However, if there's no way of me getting a witch spawner, then that's not gonna matter very much, is it? Yeah, that's the only downside, really. However, I do still want to do a couple more things to test out. Now, blaze rods are required to turn into, blaze powder. Because there's not much options for that. There's blaze essence, which is honestly a great thing. But then there's just the blaze rod itself, and the best way to get blaze power from the blaze rod would be by macerating it, or putting it into a pulverizer, which does give you some sulfur, which I don't know what to use for yet. You also can combine destabilized redstone with glowstone dust and get blaze powder? Wow, witches can be the source of power for everything. Oh my god, Generic B needs to know about this. He can produce so much power so easily using just the witches that he can... Oh my god, I didn't expect that to be a thing. I think I might try making a video to send to Generic B, see if he even sees it at all. I doubt he will, but it'd be cool if he did. So anyway, blaze rod into here, and that requires 1,600 power to make blaze powder. Sulfur, what can you use that for? You can use it to make a flux capacitor, which I don't care about right now. Sulfuric acid, gunpowder, which I guess would be nice for like a backup thing, but that requires so much extra material that it's not worth it to me. Advanced RE batteries, or dictionary stuff. Yeah, there's not really any point for me making blaze powder using the pulverizer. Okay. So how much energy does it take to turn redstone into destabilized redstone? And so you get 100 millibuckets, and it requires 8,000 energy. Okay. How about glowstone dust? It requires 20,000 energy, and you get 250. Now, how does that correlate with what we know? So let's see, in order to create enough redstone would require 11 pieces of redstone. So multiply that by 8,000 and you get 88,000 energy to produce enough redstone to create 640,000 energy. So that is definitely a net gain. But with glowstone, you only require 4. And that uses 20,000, so 4 times 20,000, that is 80,000 energy. I think we have our winner. Glowstone dust is definitely the best option. Now, I know I said that I don't have a witch spawner, but I just remembered. I can grow crops. Can I get... Oh, you can! I can get glowstone essence. And it makes 12 glowstone dust. So that's enough to make a whole bunch of energy. Holy cow, that is... I think we have our winner. There's also bees, but I don't want to go into bees quite yet. I think bees are going to be just something I end up doing for fun later on. Wow. Alright then, I think I know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to try setting up a little system, and we'll see how much energy it produces and how much it gains. So, yep, another cutaway, and I will be right back. I'm cutting away so much in this episode. Okay then. So, I did a little bit of work, thought up 2 most likely options I could use. One involves using magical crops to make a farm for glowstone and redstone, and it seems to be working out alright, although for whatever reason... Ah, there we go, that's where all the power was going to. No, it's full. Why do you no build up power? It's reacting. I don't get. Yeah, there it goes. It's making more energy, but the energy is disappearing. I don't know where to. It's just going away. Oh well. So this setup seems to work out just fine. There is one slight problem with the setup, and that's mainly the way I set up the farm. I set up the farm to have equal amounts of glowstone and redstone, but these are cyclic assemblers, and basically what they are is powered auto crafting benches. And I currently have recipes in here to create glowstone dust out of glowstone essence. Now it takes 8 essence and gives you 12 glowstone dust. Over here we have redstone. You get 24 redstone. I only need 2 redstone per... Let's see, how much is it? Like 2 redstone per 5 glowstone. So already this is way out of balance. I need way more glowstone than I need redstone. So I'd have to redesign the farm and make it so it's primarily a glowstone producing farm and not a redstone producing farm. But overall, it seems to work out just fine. Hey, there we go. Now it's building up energy. Weird. My other option requires far less machinery, which this might be the one I go with in that case. But since I'm able to collect spawners with just beating the wither once, why not make it so I have a blaze spawner so that the blaze are being ground up and producing mob essence, and blaze rods, which are then being pulverized into blaze powder to mix up with the mob essence in the Reactant Dynamo to create my power. I haven't actually tested this one out yet, so we're going to have to switch over to normal difficulty. There we go. Hi there, Blaze. Now this one does have the slight issue of me having to be around it in order for it to function. Which kind of defeats the whole purpose of having a spawner to power your entire system. Or defeats the whole purpose of having a system in general. Either way, I want to test this out. There is currently no power in the entire system, so we're going to load it up with a little bit of mob essence, and then just jumpstart it with a bit of sugar. And there we go, we see that's actually starting to produce the blaze powder, which is good. And as it goes on, the question is, am I going to get a surplus? It looks like I will, because it's not using up as much mob essence as it is taking away. So that's good. Now, the downside is that this system will eventually overflow completely, because it produces way more blaze rods than it actually uses. So another idea I have is that I could switch out the blaze rod, the blaze spawner, and put in another kind of spawner. Like, there's actually one thing I want to test. Let's see, gravity gun. I think this is the one I want. And let's just grab some spawners. I want to see okay, this turns into just the spawner itself. What about... See, I know that there was a trick before. Okay, so that feature is taken away. Still, this is kind of nice to know. If I get a gravity gun, then I can move these spawners around a lot easier. I don't need to kill a wither every single time. So, yeah, anyway. Now, there is one option to make this thing slightly easier. I could remove all the redstone plants completely and instead give the space to some blaze crops, which would then allow me to take out this magma crucible and this flue transposer, and instead I would just have 2 cyclic assemblers and 1 magma crucible. And this one, it's like a cyclic assembler would just be producing blaze powder. Now, I don't know how much essence it takes to make the blaze powder, though, so we're going to have to take a look before I can really decide. Let's see, it was 6. You get 6. And let's see, so you get 6 in return. It takes 4 glowstone dust, so we end up with a ratio that is pretty close. In fact, I think we would just need, let's see, 1 blaze farm of 8 would produce enough blaze powder to require... My math is failing me. It requires 4. So 4 times 6, 24. So yeah. 1 farm of 8 produces 2. So essentially you need a 2-to-1 ratio for glowstone crop to blaze crop. That's doable. It's very doable. And as a benefit, it would take a lot less power to do this as well. Although power seems to not be much of a question. I think I have exactly what I'm going to be going for. A golem-tended blaze and glowstone farm. That's going to be pretty interesting. By the way, I have another setup over here. This was a demonstration for the minor improvement I believe I found for Generic B's Space Witch Reactor 9000. My setup isn't really that good right now because it's kind of relying on a basic witch spawner, which isn't what he uses at all. He's using one of the Mine Factory Reloaded spawners, the auto spawner. So yeah, mine's less efficient, but I was able to give a demonstration of how it can work, and I know that he could get this working much better. He probably could take some blaze spawners himself and put them up in his reactant chamber and use the blaze to get the blaze powder itself. Of course, that does require him being around. So, maybe not. But here, let me grab a witch spawner and... Oh, hello there. Yeah, you see, it works out pretty well. It does have the side effect of producing a lot of sticks and gunpowder and sugar and bottles, but since gunpowder and sugar can also be used in the reactant dynamos, you can pretty much have a setup that produces a significant amount of power using multiple different fuel sources based on these witches. Because they drop everything you need to produce blaze powder, glowstone, redstone, all the fun stuff. Of course, if they have to drop glowstone. There we go. There's some glowstone. Now, I know my setup is horribly inefficient. That is pretty much a fact. Still, Generic B left a comment on my video like, I don't know, 15 minutes after I tweeted it to him, and he seemed to enjoy the idea. So, I felt pretty good about that. But anyway, that's going to be the end of this episode. Yeah, I didn't do anything in my main world, but we were taking a look at a lot of useful things that are going to greatly affect what I'm able to do in my main world. So, hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and fave. I will see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.